When she was born, she was just born with these great big brown eyes and soulful, little talented baby. And I had my own health food store, so she would come to work with me, and she got a lot of attention, and just people would come in and have little conversations with her. And there was a photographer that came in and saw her and said, "Oh my gosh, I would love to shoot her." He was shooting pictures for stock photography, for calendars, for little picture frames that you see in stores. So that's how she kind of got started being in front of the camera, and then going out on interviews. The first thought of Bridget being able to act was when she started performing her own little plays and of Shirley Temple, and she loved the Little Rascals. So after when she was 2 years old and it came time to her being at home while I was at work, I didn't want her just watching TV all day. So it was, I put together some movies for her to watch as a little girl that I thought she would enjoy. And I loved the Little Rascals, so made a lot of Little Rascals for her to watch. Also Shirley Temple movies, and so she started performing them. So we'd come home, she would pretty much know all the songs and do little dances. And then one day she was watching TV and then watching these, and she said, how do I do that? How would I be able to do that? Do I crawl in the back of the TV? So she got an agent and started going out on some calls, some commercials. But more than being a commercial talent, she definitely was more dramatic. She was doing more real parts. She did some commercials. She did, I think, a Barbie commercial. I'm trying to think what else she did as commercials. But I'd say she'd get pretty close at a commercial. But her first call that she went out on, where she actually learned a few lines and was playing a part, she got it. But I mean, that was pretty young. I think she was 5. And then from that, she barely turned 6 when she went out for Savannah Smiles.
The big deal was that I had to meet with Bridget Andersen, who was playing Savannah, and that was the important thing to Mark. If we had the chemistry, then he was, because I was new and he was looking for something a little bit different, he was willing to go that direction if we got along. So that was the nervous thing, to have a 6-year-old kid judging my acting. And we just played for an afternoon. She told me her infamous Brer Rabbit story, which was just incredible. And we got along because we were both little kind of Disney fans. So we got to talk about that, and we laughed a lot, and Mark liked that.
She was a doll. Bridget was wonderful to work with. She could memorize lines better than any of the actors. I mean, it wasn't even close. I mean, she was a delight, and she and her mom were inseparable. Her father was a would-be film writer that wanted to get involved, and they just wouldn't let her spoil the thing for her, because she was great.
Bridget Andersen was so adorable. What we did in Salt Lake was, so we didn't have any money to put people up in hotels, we rented a house. So we all lived together, which is wonderful. We could rehearse in the evening and get to know each other better, the cast, the principal people. And she was great. I mean, she was just wonderful. This is kind of this is a cute story. She came into my bedroom one night with my wife on her bed, and I said, "Hey, what's up, honey?" And she had her little jammies on, and she said, "I'm really upset with my dad." She said, "Did you ever smoke marijuana?" I said, "No, I never smoked marijuana. But a lot of people do." She said, "Oh, my dad, he stinks all the time. I just can't stand it in there." But I said, "Do you want to sleep in here on the couch?" And she said, "If Mom will let me." And she never came back. But she was just adorable. She was the sweetest, loveliest, most professional. And she really was proud of herself that she was so professional. She conducted herself like a grown-up actor, and she was 6 years old. Unbelievable. But she, when you give her an idea, I say, listen, I don't even have a line for that. I haven't written it yet. She, oh, I'll do it. I think I can do it. And she would do it. I mean, it was always correct. It was always right. And so I trusted the little kid, and we had a great relationship, and it shows, you know. And the scene where I tell her that how I was treated when I was a little boy, left all alone, and they went into town and spent the weekend, and I was all by myself, and they drove off and left me. My parents just gave me to them. They didn't want me. And she said, poor Alvy. The way she said, I remember it now so vividly, the way she said, poor Alvy. I said, no, hey, you know, that didn't mean anything to me at all. I mean, that was in the, you know, I never think about that. Never, no more. I'll never forget that line. I don't think about that. Never, no more.
I was very nervous about working with a kid who had such a big role in the film because the times that I've worked with them before, it's very limited timing. And she was amazing. She was absolutely amazing. I loved working with her. She was like a little professional actress.
Bridget was just a darling little girl. She was, like I say, the most professional actor ever worked with. And I really treasured that relationship. You know, I had many memories of us having dinner and playing games, and, you know, just a sweetheart. It was a very unusual film in that respect.
Well, actually, Mark and Barbie lived just pretty close to us. And so we would get together. We would have, you know, breakfast, lunch, dinner sometime. We'd have parties. So, you know, it's been nice. And now again at this time to kind of recap Savannah Smiles and get back in touch with especially Mark Miller and his family. It's been super nice.
Bridget was a miracle. She was a grown-up lady inside of this 6-year-old girl. She was fun, she was expressive, she was focused. I've worked with a lot of kids, and you have a certain amount of time with them, and then goodbye, you're over for the day. But her concentration and her really ability to bring up emotions and repeat. You know, most of the time you're doing improv with the kids. And we did a lot of improv. But she could repeat the improv, sometimes better than me, because I just throw it out there and then I'm not taking track of it. And so I don't always repeat the same thing over. But she could do that. She was an energy ball. We had a lot of fun off the set. Like I said, I brought movies for her to watch, and we'd have matinees on Sundays. She'd come to my bungalow or whatever it was. And we'd watch a film or two. She had, sometimes her family would come over, her mom and dad, and there was a baby as well. And she was just amazing. I thought, I'm going to do a movie with a kid that's in it most of the time. This is going to be interesting.
Because of Savannah Smiles and the opportunity that Bridget has been able to meet very talented people, visit beautiful places, and you know, she had the opportunity to meet Shirley Temple, who was an idol of Bridget when she was a little girl. She would watch all the Shirley Temple movies. She would act them out. She would sing her songs. And she had the opportunity to then meet with Shirley Temple and bring her a big bouquet of flowers. And that was special. She was able to go to the White House and meet with Nancy Reagan from doing the movie Summer to Remember. And then she was able to, you know, meet Muhammad Ali. She was able to work with Betty White in the Golden Girls. So she was able to work with Orangutan from Every Which Way But Loose, who played the part of a gorilla.
Bridget and I both had the opportunity to do fairy tale theater with Shelley Duvall. I had met her in Popeye. We became very good friends, and we're good friends until she moved back to Texas. I haven't seen her since then, but for years. And so when she was developing fairy tale theater, I got her to see Savannah Smiles, and she fell in love with Bridget immediately. And she said, I'm going to use Bridget. So